Good evening, you're watching N1's English Language News, Hungary Reports. I'm Rochelle, thanks for joining us. The 4 immigrants who tried to enter Hungary legally together with almost 50 of their companions through the border crossing in Röszke in January were sentenced to 1 year in prison on appeal. The group only turned back when one of the security guards fired several warning shots.
In the morning of January 28th at 5:30 a.m., a group of 50 young men tried to illegally cross the Hungarian border. The migrants knocked off the fence posts, crushed the wires and ran to the road border crossing point at Röszke. One of the armed security guards fired 3 warning shots, and by then the police reinforcement also arrived, causing the migrants to halt and head back to Serbia. The police got 5 people who were then in an accelerated procedure brought before court. 4 of them were sentenced to 1 year prison at first instance. However, both the defendants' lawyers as well as the prosecution appealed. Due to the coronavirus, at second instance, the Court of Appeal of Szeged pronounced its judgment in a video call. The sentence of 1 year prison was upheld on appeal, and the 4 defendants have also been expelled from Hungary for 2 years, and therefore from the EU as well. According to the court, the defendants were aware of the fact that they could not enter Hungary legally right there and then. However, despite this knowledge, they did try. They were aware that crossing the border arbitrarily and contrary to regulation violates Hungary's laws. Therefore, their action poses a threat to society, which therefore is considered a crime, the judge explained. This has been the second mass disturbance at Röszke in the past 4 years, since the fence was built at the Hungarian-Serbian border. According to experts, the current wave of migrants is dangerous because there could be many who have received military training in the Syrian civil war, and now they are heading towards Europe with combat experience.
The risk of a second wave of the coronavirus pandemic has increased. There are more and more new infections in the surrounding countries again. Therefore, austerity measures are being introduced again. Such measures are not necessary to be imposed in Hungary for the time being. The National Public Health Center draws attention to the fact that there is still epidemiological preparedness, and it is important to follow the hygiene rules.
The Szent Imre Primary School in Mezőkövesd in Borsod-Abaúj Zemplén County is closed. On its social media page, the institution wrote on Friday that people have been infected with the coronavirus at the school, therefore they cannot provide supervision. As they wrote, epidemiologists have taken the necessary steps regarding those affected. Chief Medical Officer Cecilia Müller reinforced in an interview that the government and the National Public Health Center have sensed accumulation. Therefore, they have started contact research and testing and have found 21 infected people. According to current information, these people could have been infected with the coronavirus at a school meeting, but the chief medical officer also emphasized that the contact research has not been concluded, so additional cases could be revealed. The chief doctor of the South Central Hospital told M1 News that the growing number of infections in Europe is not to be considered the second wave of the virus, as the first wave hasn't really stopped either. He warned that smaller hotspots could form any time. If there are 5, 10, 15 new cases a day, then the number of latent cases, which we don't know of, might still be 10 times higher than that number. Thus, it is important to maintain constant vigilance. I do not think Hungary will be akin to New Zealand in this respect, that the number of cases will be 0 for a considerable amount of time. Only if this will be representative of all of Europe, but now the situation is not heading in that direction, János Slavik pointed out. The National Public Health Center calls the public to keep to the rules and regulations in order to prevent further spread of the coronavirus.
The waste situation along the Tisza and the Samos rivers is getting worse and worse. More than 2,000 cubic meters of garbage have been collected from the 2 rivers so far, only in July. Most of the waste came to Hungary from Ukraine and Romania. Therefore, the President of Hungary, János Áder, asked the presidents of Ukraine and Romania in a letter to use their influence to combat the pollution.
The Tisza River is full of waste despite being cleaned constantly on the domestic section. The surface is covered by tangled PET bottles and other floating solids. Garbage has been coming almost non-stop from over the borders. The board of the Upper Tisza Regional Water Directorate started the intense protection of the Tisza and its streams again on June 13th. The Hungarian-developed production line, which helped remove most of the garbage, was put to work at Vásárosnamény and at River Samos-Olcsva too. More than 900 cubic meters from the Tisza River and more than 800 cubic meters of wreckage and plastic was taken out from the river Samos just in July. So far this year, over 2,300 cubic meters of trash have had to be removed from the 2 rivers altogether. Since June 13th, we have been on standby and defense along the rivers Samos and the Tisza. The waste comes with different intensities and greater or lesser interruptions. The highest trash intensity has reached a speed of 150 bottles per minute, while the lowest is 1 or 2 bottles per minute when we had to intervene, said Gábor Molnár. Due to the severe pollution of the Tisza, President of Hungary János Áder asked the presidents of Ukraine and Romania in letter to do something against the waste coming on the river Tisza and Samos. In the letters addressed to Vladimir Zelensky and Klaus Johannes, the president drew the attention that this year only thousands of cubic meters of solid waste have arrived in Hungary from their countries, and that despite the requests of Hungarian authorities, no essential measures have been taken in Ukraine or in Romania against the dangerous situation from public health, epidemiological, and touristic point of view either. János Áder asked the presidents of the two countries to use their influence to combat the pollution.
Mosquito extermination processes continue nationwide. Because of the rainy weather of past weeks, followed by an increasingly warmer period, the number of mosquitoes has increased. Attempts are being made to curb the invasion by both land and air, but a peak of the mosquito invasion expected to last for weeks. Experts say that, although not so many, but there are steps we can take in order to protect ourselves from the insects.
A mosquito-exterminating motorcar left a huge white haze cloud behind its path in Híradó. This procedure is referred to as the so-called chemical method. This is what is utilized in residential areas to get rid of full-grown mosquitoes. Experts usually conduct this work in the late evening hours. Although a great deal of active substance makes its way into the air, according to experts, the substance, which takes a few hours to dissolve, is not harmful to humans, pets, or plants. On account of the rainy weather of past weeks, followed by the increasingly warmer weather, mosquitoes have multiplied nationwide. Numbers will presumably continue to grow in the coming 2 weeks. Nuisance raids are continual nationwide. This is what the deputy spokesperson of the National Directorate General for Disaster Management spoke of. Híradó said, during the course of the past week, they completed nuisance raids in around 200 settlements, spanning 63 hectares worth of area. Despite the nuisance raids, which have affected several hundred settlements, as well as touristic arenas, experts have the situation under control in the country. They examine where new populations could possibly arise, and naturally, if needed, they follow through with further measures, Híradó said. However, there are steps we can take in order to protect ourselves from the mosquito invasion. It is indeed worthwhile to put a net over top the rainwater barrel, so that mosquitoes are blocked from settling in the water or leaving the barrel. Also, it is important not to leave water standing on the deck in little plastic containers or other types of bins. So it is worthwhile to pay attention to these things at home, and practically speaking, if we keep to these things locally, then we can protect ourselves from the mosquito invasion. Alamir Salma said. Nuisance raids continue on this week on more than 100,000 hectares worth of territory and nearly 460 settlements. The precise locations of said measures can be found on the National Disaster Management website.
One of the outstanding historical monuments of Hungary is located in Pannonhalma-Veszprém County. The Benedictine Arch Abbey is an institution of significant importance from an art historical and ecclesiastical point of view as well. The monastery, founded in the late 900s, is still inhabited by a community of about 40 monks who run a boarding secondary grammar school and also carry out many cultural activities. Many dog owners look for a beach where they can take their pets with them during the summer heat. Ortford in Baranya County is a perfect choice in this respect, as a dog-friendly beach was opened on one of the shore sections of the Great Lake. The place is easily accessible and located in a shady area. According to the people visiting here, this is an ideal spot for pet lovers who want to swim as well. That's all for now, and I'll be back tomorrow night at around the same time, and you can catch the English news online as well. Please stay tuned for our other foreign language news broadcasts. Thanks for watching. Take care. Good night.